So to start, can you tell me what kind of vampire Thomas Will Osborne is?
So, it's not a. It's hard to answer that question on its face. You understand? Because ostensibly, he's just a master vampire of one sort. In fact, he has mastered 3 different arts within the vampire school of magic. One of them, of course, is the psychic vampire. He can read your mind. Any thoughts, any secrets you're harboring, he knows. If you lie to him, if you deceive him, he's going to know right away. Rule number 2, he is also an ethereal vampire, right? Which means that he can shift between walls, between space. He can, it poses a very real threat when nothing you have is secure, because he can just become immaterial and glide right through it. The third kind is that he is, in fact, a vampire that can transform himself. Now, of course, there's the classic bat, but they can really transform into all kinds of other things. Sometimes wolves, not dogs, but definitely wolves is another very ominous creature they can transform into. Some have been rumored to transform into bears, but I don't buy that for a second. Bears are not an inherently ominous animal, so quite frankly, I don't believe it.
What recent atrocities has Thomas Will Osborne committed?
Well, it's one that your viewers might be familiar with. The tragedy of Benghazi. Quite frankly.
That's okay. That's okay. Clap.
So to start, can you tell me what kind of vampire you think Thomas Will Osborne actually is?
Well, I think it's clear to you and the other people who have woken that, in fact, Thomas Will Osborne is a jack of all trades of sort, and as far as vampire magic goes. Thomas Will Osborne is simultaneously an ethereal vampire, a physical, shape-shifting vampire, and a psychic vampire. We'll start with psychic first. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can read your mind. If you're trying to deceive him, play any tricks on him, if you're not right there, you might be able to play a trick or fool him or something. But if you're there, he can read you like an open book. Just absolutely knows every little detail you're hiding. So it's very difficult to fight him head on, even if you do have clever strategy. Number 2, he is a
Time out, Noah. And do the clap in 3 seconds, Sean.
So to start, can you tell me a little bit about what kind of vampire you think Thomas Will Osborne actually is?
So I think he's a master vampire. He's a jack of all trades, really. Some vampires are limited, to one power, and not Thomas Will Osborne. He's got them all. He, quite frankly, he has physical power, shape-shifting power, and so quite that's pretty self-explanatory. He can lift heavy things. He can hit you really hard. Stuff like that. He can eat your face. But also he can transform into different things. And of course there's the cliche with the bat. Everybody knows, it's a bat, it's a vampire. But in fact he can really be just about any kind of ominous animal. A snake, a wolf, certainly not a dog, of course, but certainly a wolf though. And that's very worrisome, right? That's very worrisome. Number 2, he can be an ethereal vampire. He can, shift just through the walls, just right there. And that to me is particularly disturbing because I have the highest security in this house. But to know that he can just shift through it all, and even light can pass through him. The laser tripwires, none of it. He can just reach through a safe and grab out my content. So, last but certainly not least is the psychic aspect of vampire. Now he can read your mind. He can, if you try to deceive him in any way, he's right there. He's going to see through it right away. If you're a far way away, or you do something you're not, maybe he won't know you're there immediately. But if he's looking at you, he knows. He knows, buddy. So the only safeguard against either ethereal or the psychic ability is what I like to call a dream net. And these dream nets, in fact, it it prevents him from going in that container, right? He can't go through this right here. It'll catch him. It'll catch him right here, like a fly in a spider web or something, right in the center. And so if he tries to reach through my safe or something, as he's probably trying to do at some given point, when he finds out I'm onto him, he's going to try to reach through it. He's going to reach through the safe, but then he's going to get his hand stuck in this. And that's going to be uncomfortable. He's going to sit there just completely with his hand in the safe, unable to do anything. And so, quite frankly...
Recording now. Do the clap in 3, Sean.
So to start, can you tell me about what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
Well, quite frankly, I think he's a master vampire, a jack of all trades. Some vampires are, novice or intermediate. Maybe they can do one thing or another. He can pretty much do it all, which is very scary. He has like 3 or 4, major powers. One of them, of course, is just physical strength. If he were like coming to my house, the door off the safe. You were going to my house and ripped the door off the safe.
I already stopped recording.
Now.
Clap in 3.
So to start, can you tell me about what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
Well, quite frankly, Thomas Wilhelm Asborn is a master vampire. Some vampires are limited to 1 or 2 powers. He, in fact, has many. Of course, he has, just a huge, reserve of physical strength and stamina. He can just... No! God damn it.
What's making you laugh?
The safe!
Wait, you even got to the safe yet!
I have it in my head! Alright, just go.
I got to delete it. Recording in 3.
So to start, do you think you can tell me what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
Clap in 3.
So to start, do you think you can tell me what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
So, I hate to tell you, Shane, I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
John!
So to start, do you think you can kind of tell me what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Sean. But in fact, he's a master vampire. Some vampires are weak or only have 1 or 2 powers. He's a master vampire. I'm sorry, I don't think there's anything there. So he's a master vampire, and Thomas, stop fucking with
Rolling now.
Leo.
So to start, do you think you can tell me what kind of vampire you think Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Sean. Quite frankly, he. I said, Sean.
No, that's good.
No, it's not good. It's not good. Oh no. Okay. All right. We roll. Look,
I'm keeping rolling right now.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah. Keep rolling. Fine, keep rolling. We'll just
All right, from the beginning, from the top.
So to start, do you think you can kind of tell us what kind of vampire Thomas Wilhelm Asborn actually is?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Shane. He's in fact a master vampire. Quite frankly, other vampires have special abilities, but maybe they aren't as trained or refined as Thomas Wilhelm Asborn. He has, in fact, 3 different powers that I know of. One of them, of course, is to have physical strength and transformation. Most people think they're just, they're bats. They're bats. Everybody says, oh, you study bats. I'm like, no, I don't study bats, okay? They transform into other things besides bats, okay? Wolves, snakes, any ominous or deceptive animal, very much vampire can become. And, this comes with enhanced strength. This comes with enhanced strength, quite frankly. I'm terrified. I'm terrified because I could never, withstand a physical encounter with him, and that's assuming that I would even make it past the other powers, which I probably wouldn't. Another power he has is psychic powers, right? He can read your mind. If you confront him, he's going to know what you're thinking. You try to deceive him, he's going to know what you're thinking. And the third power, of course, that he has is the ethereal power, where he can just shift right through the walls. And this worries me greatly because I keep research. All right, so can we do any cuts in between these?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So quite frankly, all three of these worry me. I have a safe where I keep my research. Quite frankly, all these worry me. I have a safe where I keep my research. And I worry first that he could rip the door off the safe. It's an extremely strong safe, Swiss. And in fact, another thing worries me, that what if he reads my mind? So if he mind controls me, reads my mind, then I have to be able to access the safe. But if he can control me, he can access me and does access the safe. And quite frankly, his ethereal power, he can just reach through the safe at any time and grab all of my research out. And that is why I have started making.
Alright, breathe.
So he can reach through the safe, and so quite frankly, I'm worried because all three of these allow him to get into a safe that I keep for research purposes. He can first of all rip the door off. It's a very strong Swiss safe, but it's super strength. Quite frankly. Furthermore, he has a psychic ability. He can access me, and thus I can access the safe. So that's also very problematic. With his ethereal power, he can just reach through the wall of the safe and grab, things and pull them out. So I started making these because these, if he tries to reach through them, they'll actually catch his hand. So he thinks, that he's going to be clever or use his powers to get to my safe, and I lined the inside of the safe with a bunch of these. They had slight variations. The Native Americans had experience with vampires, and this is what they used, and it will catch them. If anything ethereal touches this web right here, catches them. They can't move, they can't leave, so he'll just be stuck there with his arm in the safe, and he won't be able to leave. I can come back and then destroy him at that point.
All right. What sorts of atrocities do you know of that Thomas William Asworth has committed, specifically in recent memory?
Well, there are many. Most I wouldn't assume that the general public is familiar with. Most of them don't go published in the the television media. It's obscure sites on the internet mainly where these things are known. Obscure forums, and quite frankly, Benghazi is the most recent one. There was actually a vampire tomb underneath Benghazi, and they play these political games, and quite frankly, I think it's to confuse the people, to divide the people from realizing the truth. That in fact, this has nothing to do with politics or any of our political leaders. This, in fact, is, what are you going to do if you're a political leader in a vampire tomb? Some jackass decided to build an embassy on top of it, knowing what was there. They knew. Okay, they knew. Whoever built the embassy is responsible, quite frankly, because you don't just build things on Native American burial grounds or vampire tombs. You don't build things there. Build it on a nice patch of land or something. But no. So, quite frankly, I don't think it has any political connotation. I think Benghazi was in fact caused when Thomas William Asborn awakened from, I would estimate, at least a century of sleep. It might be as little as 50 years, but I would say it was definitely, before the last 50 years, he was in that tomb, he was there, and he just recently reawakened, and it's very worrisome.
Is there any way that we can actually stop Thomas William Asborn?
There are small methods we have for dealing or preparing. I'd like to tell you yes, but I can't tell you that in good conscience. I hope so, and that's the best I can say. We can take little remedies, little actions against him, but quite frankly, I've been churning these things out as fast as I can.
All right.
To keep on, mention, set his hair on fire, and pepper spray.
So hang on. So what's the most recent part is
We'll just restart from that last question.
Last question.
question.
Last question.
Yeah,
No. How do you stop him?
How do we stop him?
Okay.
Alright, so just remember pepper spray. Okay,
So quite frankly, we can take.
Let's
some-
ask the question.
start. Okay. Is there any possible way that we can actually defeat Thomas Will Asborn? Any weaknesses that he might actually have?
There are a few ways to slow him down. One being, these dream nets, and these are effective. I'll be honest, they are effective. But as far as defeating him, these won't do the job. I've been churning these things down as fast as I can, and quite frankly, I just can't make enough to protect everyone everywhere at all times. So I've got barely enough for my safe. Okay.
Start from the beginning. Get
Good, roll it.
All right, Sean, question.
I do like the fact that you mentioned the safe though, because that's tie back into the end.
Yeah.
All right, no, start from
Just try to do it without getting
start from the question, Sean.
Okay. Does Thomas Will Asborn have any weaknesses? Is there any possible way that we might actually be able to destroy him?
There are ways. I think it's unlikely. I think that there are plenty of smaller countermeasures we can employ, like these dream nets. I've been churning these out as fast as I can, but frankly, I barely have enough for my own safe. I can't make enough for everyone everywhere at all times. Can't do it. I've been trying, can't do it. And there are a couple ways, though, that he actually could be destroyed. One of them is, of course, setting his hair on fire. And if you can set his hair on fire, that will destroy him once and for all.
Do you think that's why he wears the hat?
I believe it is. I believe it is. I think that his hair is extremely weak, so much as the sun's rays could destroy it. Some vampires can't go out in sunlight. He can with the hat. I think if you took the hat off of him, he would burn up to a crisp almost immediately. The hair is his weak point. I'll tell you that.
Hair's the weak point. Start right there.
His hair is the weak point. I'll tell you that much. Furthermore, there is another lesser-known method. The hair is one of the popular ways that most people are advocating right now to deal with this problem. Most people in my circles. Quite frankly, I read an ancient text. I went to Benghazi after the fact, after it settled down. I went back there, and I was part of a U.S. investigation into it, an international investigation, and I discovered an ancient text that said pepper spray was an equally effective method, and that if you merely sprayed the pepper spray directly into
Start with pepper spray.
I found an equally effective way.
So here's what I want to rephrase it. Instead of saying pepper spray, say mist of the pepper.
Okay. So.
And it's like, which I believe would be the equivalent of modern day pepper spray.
Yeah. Okay. So where am I starting?
I found an equally effective way.
So, besides setting his hair on fire, there is one other way I discovered. I went to Benghazi after the fact, about a year later, as part of a U.S. international investigation. I found in the tomb an ancient text that said mist of the pepper was also used in ancient times to deal with these master vampires. I believe in modern days it comes in little cans that you could attach to your keyring, and if you could just spray it directly into his eyes, nose, and mouth, I believe that if it wouldn't kill him or mortally injure him, it would greatly stun him, paralyze him. He would be unable to move for quite some time, at which point you could remove the hat and set the hair on fire.
Very interesting. I have one last question. No.
All right.
That's good.
Just go to. I have one last question.
Okay.
I'm gonna zoom in on you actually.
I see you.
Okay.
Go ahead. You can do it again. It's okay. Just wait. It's okay.
What's in the second?
And then just be like, I can't answer that this time.
No, I want it more than that. I want to just be like terribly like offended.
Look at Peter's camera and say this interview's over.
Just say, wait. You get like this interview's over. Like kind of thing. Okay.
Just try real quick.
This interview's over.
No, you have to.
This interview is over.
No, have Sean ask the question.
Well, yeah, he
I'll
knows.
just
He's
say
practicing.
it
Like this interview is
we're
done. We're done.
here.
Yeah. And say it a lot. Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
So I want to thank you, for giving me a little bit of time, giving your time today. I think you brought a lot of valuable information to help lift some of the fog over the mystery that is Thomas William Asborn. I have one final question though. During this interview today, you talked quite a bit about your safe and how much you want to protect it. If you don't mind me asking, what is in that safe?
We're done here. We're done here. Shane, this was not part of the agreement. No, this was not part of it. Thank you. We're done.